The Man Who Owned the Secret to Infinite Wealth. Chapter 1. The Wise Old Man of Abala. In a far-off land called Abala, nestled between lush hills and sprawling savannas, lived a man named Kofi. He was known throughout the village as a humble farmer who lived a simple life. Every day, Kofi toiled on his land from dawn until dusk, planting yams and maize, tending to his goats, and selling his modest harvest at the local market. His life was not one of riches, but one of contentment. The people of Abala respected Kofi for his hard work and honest heart, but little did they know that he harbored a burning desire in his heart, a desire to possess the secret to infinite wealth. The story of the secret had been passed down through generations in Abala. It was said that long ago, a wise old man named Kwame held the knowledge of how to gain limitless riches. This knowledge, however, was locked away in a sacred scroll, hidden deep within the mystical Kudamani forest. Many had tried to seek the scroll, but the forest was treacherous, filled with magical creatures and cunning spirits. Those who ventured too far either returned empty-handed or were never seen again. Some said Kwame himself had disappeared into the forest with the secret, never to return. One evening, after a long day's work, Kofi sat by the fire with his friend Bako. They often shared stories and dreams while sipping palm wine, and on this particular night, the conversation turned to the legend of the wise old man. Bako, Kofi began, his eyes reflecting the flickering flames. I've been thinking about that old story. What if it's not just a tale? What if the secret to infinite wealth is real? Imagine what it could do for our village, for us. Bako chuckled, shaking his head. Ah, Kofi, you and your dreams. Many have gone into Kudamani Forest seeking that scroll. None have returned with it. Do you truly believe you will be the one to succeed where all others have failed? Kofi's face grew serious. I have to try. If it exists, I must find it. Bako studied his friend for a long moment, then sighed. You are a brave man, Kofi, but this is no ordinary journey. The spirits of the forest do not take kindly to intruders. They protect the secrets of the land fiercely. I know, Kofi replied quietly, but I am prepared. Tomorrow, I will set out at first light. Bako said nothing more, knowing Kofi's determination could not be swayed. The fire crackled between them, and the sounds of the night, crickets chirping and the distant howl of a hyena, filled the silence. Kofi's mind, however, was far from peaceful. He could only think of the journey ahead and the riches that awaited him if he succeeded. The next morning, Kofi packed a few provisions, dried meat, water, and a sturdy walking stick, and set off toward Kudamani Forest. As he left the village, some of the elders watched him go with pity in their eyes, while others whispered amongst themselves. They had seen many brave souls set out with dreams of wealth, only to be consumed by the forest. Kofi walked for hours, the sun beating down on his back, until he reached the edge of Kudamani. The trees here were ancient, their gnarled trunks towering above him, their thick branches casting eerie shadows on the ground. There was a stillness in the air, an unnatural quiet that made the hair on the back of Kofi's neck stand up. Yet, he pressed on, determined to uncover the secret hidden within the depths. As he ventured deeper into the forest, the path became more twisted and overgrown. Thick vines draped across the trees like the tentacles of some sleeping beast, and strange noises echoed through the foliage, whispers and distant laughter, as if the very forest was mocking him. He pressed forward, following the faint memory of the old stories that had been told to him as a child. He would not be deterred. Suddenly, the air grew cold, and a thick mist began to roll in, obscuring the path before him. Kofi hesitated. He had been warned of the spirits that guarded the forest, but he had not expected to encounter them so soon. Out of the mist, a figure appeared, cloaked in shadow. It was an old man, his skin dark as the earth, with long white hair that flowed like a river down his back. His eyes were sharp and piercing, glowing like embers in the darkness. You seek something, don't you? The old man said, his voice echoing like the wind through the trees. Kofi swallowed hard but nodded. Yes, I seek the secret to infinite wealth. The old man laughed, a sound that was both soft and chilling. Many have come before you, and many will come after. What makes you think you are worthy? Kofi stood tall, though his heart raced. I do not seek wealth for myself alone. I seek it for my people. If I possess the secret, I can help them. I can change the fate of my village. The old man's eyes flickered with interest. A noble goal indeed. But tell me, Kofi, are you willing to pay the price? Kofi frowned. What price? The old man smiled, revealing sharp, yellowed teeth. All things come at a cost. The secret you seek is powerful, but power always demands something in return. Are you prepared to give up everything for this knowledge? Kofi hesitated, his mind racing. He had not considered that there might be a price beyond the danger of the journey itself, but he had come too far to turn back now. I am, he said firmly. The old man's smile faded, and his eyes grew darker. Very well, he said, his voice low and ominous. Then follow me. Without another word, the old man turned and began to walk deeper into the mist. Kofi followed, his heart pounding in his chest. The forest around him seemed to close in, the shadows growing longer and darker with each step. Kofi could feel the weight of the spirits watching him, their eyes burning into his back. After what felt like an eternity, the old man stopped before a large, ancient tree. Its roots were gnarled and twisted, and its trunk was scarred with strange symbols. At the base of the tree was a small, hidden door, almost invisible against the bark. This, the old man said, is the entrance to the cave where the scroll is kept. But beware, Kofi. Once you enter, there is no turning back. The trials within are unlike anything you have ever faced. Kofi took a deep breath and nodded. He had come this far, and he would not let fear stop him now. With trembling hands, he reached for the door and pushed it open, stepping into the darkness beyond. Chapter 2. The Trials of the Cave. Kofi stepped into the cave, his heart thudding in his chest as the door creaked shut behind him, sealing him in total darkness. He took a deep breath, steadying himself. The air inside was damp and cold, thick with the smell of earth and something else, something ancient and unsettling. He could hear the faint trickle of water somewhere deeper within, and the soft rustle of unseen creatures skittering across the cave floor. Stay calm, Kofi whispered to himself. You've come this far. He fumbled in the darkness for his walking stick, using it to tap the ground in front of him as he moved cautiously forward. His footsteps echoed in the narrow passageway, and he soon realized that the cave was not as silent as it had first seemed. There was a low hum, almost like the sound of chanting, coming from somewhere deep within. It was faint but persistent, growing louder with every step he took. After what felt like hours of walking, Kofi came to a fork in the path. Two tunnels stretched out before him, one to the left, dark and foreboding, the other to the right, bathed in a faint, golden light. Kofi hesitated, trying to remember the old stories. Which path would lead him to the scroll? He had not been told of this choice. As he stood there, uncertain, a voice echoed through the cave. It was soft and melodic, yet it sent a chill down his spine. Choose wisely, Kofi, the voice said. One path leads to the secret you seek. The other leads to your doom. Kofi shivered. He could not tell where the voice was coming from, but it sounded close, as if someone was whispering right into his ear. He looked between the two paths, weighing his options. The golden light seemed inviting, but something about it felt too easy, too convenient. The dark path, on the other hand, filled him with dread, but he had learned that the most valuable things were rarely obtained without hardship. With a deep breath, Kofi chose the dark path. As soon as he stepped into the tunnel, the air grew colder, and the chanting grew louder. The darkness seemed to press in on him from all sides, and he felt as though invisible hands were brushing against his skin. He gripped his walking stick tightly, forcing himself to move forward despite the fear gnawing at his insides. The path twisted and turned, growing narrower with each step. At times, Kofi had to crouch down to avoid hitting his head on the low-hanging rocks. He could feel the weight of the mountain above him, pressing down like a great beast waiting to crush him at any moment. But still, he pressed on, determined not to give in to his fear. After what felt like an eternity, Kofi saw a faint glimmer of light ahead. It was not the warm, golden light he had seen at the fork in the path. but a cold, silvery glow that seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. He quickened his pace, eager to see what lay ahead, and soon found himself standing at the entrance to a vast underground chamber. The walls of the chamber were covered in strange symbols, much like the ones he had seen on the tree outside. The floor was made of smooth stone, and in the center of the chamber stood an altar carved from a single piece of obsidian. On top of the altar lay a scroll, glowing with an otherworldly light. Kofi's heart leapt in his chest. He had found it, the secret to infinite wealth. He stepped forward, his eyes fixed on the scroll, but as he approached the altar, a low growl echoed through the chamber. Kofi froze. The growl grew louder, more menacing, and out of the shadows stepped a massive creature unlike anything Kofi had ever seen. It was a lion, but not an ordinary one. Its fur was jet black, and its eyes glowed with a fiery red light. It stood taller than any man, its muscles rippling beneath its sleek coat. Its teeth were sharp as daggers, and its claws scraped the stone floor as it circled Kofi, blocking his path to the scroll. The lion stared at him with an intelligence that made Kofi's blood run cold. This was no ordinary beast. It was a guardian, a spirit of the forest sent to protect the sacred knowledge that Kofi sought. For a moment, Kofi stood frozen in place, unsure of what to do. He had come so far, endured so much, but now, faced with this creature, he realized that the price for the secret might be more than he was willing to pay. The lion growled again, lowering its head as if preparing to strike. Kofi's mind raced. He had no weapons, no way to fight the beast, but he knew that if he turned back now, he would never get another chance. He had to think quickly. In the old stories, there were often riddles and tests given by the spirits to those who sought their treasures. Kofi thought back to the tales he had heard as a child, searching his memory for anything that might help him now. Then, an idea struck him. He dropped his walking stick and knelt before the lion, bowing his head in submission. "I am not here to steal what is not mine," Kofi said, his voice trembling. "I seek the secret not for greed, but to help my people. If you are the guardian of this knowledge, then I offer you my respect and ask for your guidance. What must I do to prove myself worthy?" The lion stopped circling and stood still, watching Kofi with its fiery eyes. For a moment, the chamber was silent, the tension thick in the air. Then, to Kofi's astonishment, the lion spoke. "Many have come before you," the lion said, its voice deep and resonant. "All sought the secret for themselves. They were driven by greed, by ambition, and they perished because of it. But you, Kofi, have shown humility. You seek not for yourself, but for your people. That is why I will give you a chance." Kofi lifted his head, hope flickering in his heart. "What must I do?" The lion stepped aside, allowing Kofi a clear view of the altar. The scroll contains the secret to infinite wealth, but wealth is not always measured in gold or jewels. To unlock its power, you must make a choice. Take the scroll, and you will be granted riches beyond your wildest dreams, but only for yourself. Your people will suffer, and the land will grow barren. Or, you may leave the scroll where it lies, and the land will prosper. Your village will thrive, but you will gain nothing for yourself. Kofi stared at the scroll, temptation burning inside him. He had come all this way, risking his life for the secret, and now he was being asked to walk away with nothing. It seemed cruel, unfair. But the lion's words echoed in his mind. Wealth is not always measured in gold or jewels. Kofi thought of his village, of the people who worked tirelessly every day just to survive. He thought of the children who went to bed hungry, the elders who struggled to live out their final days in comfort. He had always believed that if he could find the secret, he could change their lives. But now he realized that true wealth was not something that could be hoarded by one person. It was something that could be shared by all. Slowly, Kofi rose to his feet. He bowed to the lion once more. "I choose my people," he said quietly. "I choose the land." The lion regarded him for a long moment, then nodded. "You have made the right choice, Kofi. The land will remember your sacrifice." With those words, the lion turned and disappeared into the shadows, leaving Kofi alone in the chamber. The glow from the scroll began to fade, and the symbols on the walls flickered and vanished. The chamber grew darker, colder, and Kofi felt a strange sense of peace settle over him. He turned and made his way back through the cave, the path seeming shorter now, less treacherous. When he finally emerged from the forest, the sun was setting, casting a golden light over the village of Abila. Kofi returned home quietly, without fanfare or celebration. He did not tell anyone what had happened in the forest, or what choice he had made. But over the next few weeks, something miraculous began to happen. The land around Abila became more fertile than ever before. Crops grew in abundance, the rivers flowed with fresh, clean water, and the animals flourished. The people of the village prospered, their lives improving in ways they had never imagined. Kofi watched with quiet satisfaction as his people thrived. He had not gained riches for himself, but he had found something far more valuable, the knowledge that true wealth was in the well-being of his community. And though no one ever knew the full story of what had transpired in Kudamani Forest, the village elders often spoke of a time when the spirits of the land smiled upon Abila, blessing them with abundance and peace. Chapter 3: The Legacy of Kofi. Years passed, and Kofi grew old. His hair turned gray, and his hands became rough and calloused from years of tending the land. But his spirit remained strong, and he continued to work alongside his people, sharing in their joys and sorrows. The village of Abila had become known far and wide for its prosperity. Travelers came from distant lands to marvel at the rich harvests and the lush, fertile fields that stretched as far as the eye could see. The people of Abila were generous, sharing their bounty with those in need, and their reputation for kindness spread across the land. But despite their success, Kofi remained humble. He never boasted of his role in the village's fortune, nor did he seek praise or recognition. To him, the greatest reward was seeing his people happy and healthy, living in harmony with the land. One day, as Kofi sat beneath the shade of a baobab tree, a young boy approached him. The boy's name was Kwame, and he was the son of one of the village elders. He had always been curious about the old stories, and he had heard whispers of Kofi's journey into Kudamani Forest. "Grandfather Kofi," Kwame said, sitting down beside the old man, "is it true that you once went into the forest to seek the secret to infinite wealth?" Kofi smiled, his eyes twinkling with amusement. "Ah, you've been listening to the stories, haven't you?" Kwame nodded eagerly. "Yes, the elders say you went into the forest and faced great dangers. They say you found something there that changed our village forever." Kofi chuckled softly. "The elders do love their stories. But tell me, Kwame, what do you think wealth is?" The boy frowned, thinking for a moment. "Wealth is having many things, like gold, or land, or cattle. It means being rich, doesn't it?" Kofi nodded thoughtfully. "Yes, that is one way to think of wealth. But there are other kinds of wealth too. Wealth of the heart, wealth of the mind, wealth of the spirit. Do you think a man who has all the gold in the world, but no friends, is truly wealthy?" Kwame shook his head. "No, I don't think so." Kofi smiled. "That is a wise answer, Kwame. True wealth is not just about what you own. It's about what you give. It's about the people you love, the land you care for, and the legacy you leave behind." The boy looked up at Kofi, his eyes wide with wonder. "Did you find the secret in the forest, grandfather? Did you choose the right path?" Kofi looked out over the village, watching as the children played in the fields, the women gathered around the cooking fires, and the men worked in the gardens. The land was alive with energy and life, the air filled with the sounds of laughter and song. "I did, Kwame," Kofi said softly, "but the secret was not what I expected. It was something much greater." Kwame frowned, puzzled. "What was it?" Kofi placed a gentle hand on the boy's shoulder. "It was this. The greatest secret to infinite wealth is love, Kwame. It is love for your people, love for the land, and love for life itself. Riches fade, possessions wither, but love endures. It is love that brings prosperity, not just to one person, but to all." Kwame looked at Kofi with a mixture of awe and confusion. "Love? But how can love be wealth, grandfather? Can love grow crops or build houses?" Kofi smiled warmly, his eyes soft with wisdom. "Love can do many things, Kwame. When you love your people, you care for them. When you love the land, you treat it with respect. and it gives back to you in abundance. When you love life, you find joy in every moment, no matter how small. That is wealth far greater than gold. Kwame thought for a moment, trying to understand. He had always been told that wealth was something you could see and hold, something that made you powerful and important. But Kofi's words made him wonder if there was something deeper, something more lasting than riches. "Will I ever find this kind of wealth, grandfather?" Kwame asked quietly. Kofi chuckled and tousled the boy's hair. "You already have, Kwame. It's all around you, in the laughter of your friends, in the beauty of the land, and in the kindness of your heart. Remember this. The secret to infinite wealth is not hidden in some far-off place. It is within you, waiting to be discovered." Kwame nodded, though he still didn't fully understand. But something in Kofi's words stirred within him, a small seed of wisdom that he knew would grow over time. As the years passed, Kofi's legacy lived on in the village of Abala. He became known as the wise old man who had brought prosperity to the land, not through gold or magic, but through his love for his people and his dedication to the well-being of all. When Kofi finally passed away, the village mourned deeply, but they also celebrated his life and the many gifts he had given them. The elders told stories of Kofi's journey into Kudamani Forest, of the Lion Guardian, and the choice he had made. But more than that, they spoke of the lesson he had taught them all, the true meaning of wealth. In honor of Kofi, the villagers built a great monument at the edge of the forest, where the trees parted to reveal the open plains. It was a simple stone, engraved with words that Kofi had once spoken to Kwame. "True wealth is not in what you possess, but in what you give. Love is the only treasure that never fades." Generations came and went, and the story of Kofi and the secret to infinite wealth became a cherished part of Abala's history. The village continued to prosper, not because of any magical scroll, but because they had embraced the spirit of generosity, kindness, and love that Kofi had taught them. And though many travelers passed through the village, seeking riches and fortune, the people of Abala knew that they had something far more precious. They had each other, their land, and the wisdom of a man who had once ventured into a dark forest and returned with the greatest secret of all. As for Kwame, he grew up to be a respected elder in the village, known for his fairness and wisdom. He often sat beneath the old baobab tree where he had once spoken to Kofi, telling stories to the younger children about the man who had found the true secret to infinite wealth. And whenever a child asked him if they too could find such wealth, Kwame would smile and say, "The secret is not hidden in the forest or buried in the earth. It is within your heart. All you have to do is love, and you will be the richest person in the world." And so, the legend of Kofi and the secret to infinite wealth lived on, not just in Abala, but in the hearts of all who heard the story. For as long as people remembered the power of love, they would always be wealthy beyond measure. That is the end of the legendary story. I believe you love it. Share your thoughts on the comments section. Like the video, subscribe to my channel, and join us on Telegram via the link in video description. Check out other videos on our channel. Let's see you in the next video.